Here we're trying to find x and y intercepts. So just like with a line or with anything, what do x and y intercepts mean? It's where does it cross the y, where does it cross the x? Maybe it crosses the x in more than one place because this is a polynomial. But notice, to find out where something crosses the y, this point would have the x value would be 0 because it's over a certain no units, otherwise you wouldn't be on the y-axis, and up a certain amount of units, and vice versa. X-intercepts can be back and forth, but if you go up at all, you're not on the x-axis. So to find a y-intercept, I plug in x as 0, and vice versa. To find an x-intercept, I make the output, or y, 0. All right, obviously the easier one of those to do would be for the y-intercept. You just have to make x 0. So we want to know what's f of 0. What do we get when we plug x as 0? Well, notice all the terms that have an x will be 0, 0, 0. So 0, 0, 0, and at the end it'll just say plus 32. So it looks like when we make x 0, we get out y is 32. And so there's a y-intercept. All right, for x-intercepts, we need to set the output equal to 0. So here's a y-intercept. All right, we need the output to be equal to 0, the y value. So that's a little harder because I have to set the whole thing equal to 0. So then let's see, are there any common factors? Is there anything I can do here? So I could factor out a 2, it looks like, or I could even divide everything by 2 because 0 divided by 2 will still be 0. And if I divide this whole equation by 2, I get x to the third minus x squared minus 16x plus 16. So you can factor it out or you can divide by it. Just if you notice something like that, it makes what's left simpler. All right, then I don't generally know how to factor something to the third, so maybe sometimes you can find one of the zeros on your calculator, or you could do synthetic division, you could use the rational zeros theorem if you've done those topics already, but they're probably going to just stick to ones that do factor nicely in this topic. So I do notice that even though I can't factor something out of everything, see how these two and these two have something in common? So maybe I can do a factor by grouping. So the first two both have an x squared. If I factor x squared out, I'm left with x minus 1. X to the third minus x squared, just picturing if I distribute that back in there. And then if I factor out a negative 16, be careful, I'll be left with x minus 1 also, because that'd be negative, and then that one would be positive. And so now I can see, oh, it looks like it is going to factor nicely, because they both have an x minus 1, which leaves you with x squared minus 16. And then notice that one's difference of squares, so that factors to x plus and minus 4. So then what is this saying for x-intercepts? And you can list them as the number or points depending on how they want your answer formatted. So if they just want the number, you put 32 for the y-intercept. And so this one, if I'm just listing them as numbers so I don't run out of space here, it looks like 1 would make that equal to 0, negative 4, or 4. So there's 3 x-intercepts and 1 y-intercept on that one.